Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first AR or if you've been building them for years. There is something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley, and I am joined, as always, by my very special co-host, Garth Over.
How we doing tonight, bud?
Oh, we are doing just wonderful.
I wish I could say the same. Today has been a very unproductive day with a lot of stuff happening. So, I mean, for those watching live or tuning in eventually, we are on our 4-day countdown to our 3-gun championship match coming up here in P.A.C.E. So when this releases on the audio, it'll have already happened. So, yeah,
100%.
sorry. But, yes. So, I've been trying to get some different target systems to work. I built what I deemed my zipline target because I have a wire that's going across the top, and I've got a sliding target that goes from left to right. And my first prototype worked fantastic, but it wasn't strong enough to hold up. So I redid it. And now I have 2 wires going across with 2 platforms, and it's a whole thing. I'll post pictures when they're all done. I just don't have a strong enough retractable cable to pull the target right now, and so I'm going to get creative and go to Menards or Walmart or Runnings or, that was my phone. I apologize. And, try to get something to pull that target system. And then, of course, fix my Texas Star that I haven't done yet because I've been avoiding it. And build a couple other poppers. And I've been kind of just really defeated with the whole I'm going to spend more money to spend less money kind of thing. So I definitely got my butt kicked this time around. And I think my target building days are over after this week.
Well, that will happen.
Yeah, so that's what it is.
Yes. So I know that you have been diligently building targets.
I'm going to have like 12 of them when it's all said and done. And so it's cool. Very neat. Just spend the money and buy the damn targets.
And you've thrown yourself into this endeavor.
Oh, yeah, Drew, I get it. It's sometimes it's about the journey. Yeah, but man, oh, dude, it's been something. These hands hurt. Put it that way.
Yes, indeed.
But I know you've had your own misfortunes today too, so.
Oh yes, I broke components on my Dillon 750, and but I have parts coming to fix that, so that will get fixed sometime between now and Christmas.
No,
I made the mistake. I added a powder charge indicator to my Dillon 750, so that because wanted to make sure that it would notify me if I didn't have a proper powder charge.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if I'm going to put the automation kit on it where it just runs. And I knew that I was like, oh yeah, as soon as it happened, I was like, oh yeah, I need the short throw powder bar for that. But I realized that about the same time I sent the stock powder bar through my bullet feeder. So I get to rebuild the bullet feeder now. So that is fun.
That's a bummer, dude.
Yeah. I can still run it and it's still fast. It's just I have to individually place bullets, which is dumb.
No, that is 100% dumb. So I'm just checking over the comments right now. We're not on YouTube yet. I don't know if we get kicked off. Can we get kicked off YouTube?
We're on YouTube.
Why? I know. Can we get kicked off for showing a frame?
Yes.
Well, I don't want to do it then. But
I mean, it's irrelevant. You can try it and see because the free speech is where it's at.
Well, so. Correct. Oh, there's one. I won't kick him off yet. I told John we're going to be on live, so I'll let him stick around for a little bit. I bought 2 Wilson combat grips today. I bought a 365. Well, I didn't buy them. I bought them the other day, and they came in today. So I just put my XL grip together, and I'm
His
going to work on
365
this.
XL.
Yes, 365 XL, and then I have a 365 as well that I bought. I have 2 grips.
Yes.
So super excited about these because they're the OD green. I have a fascination with green. So I'm excited to put those on and, rock some new Wilson Combat frames on my 365s.
I run a lot of, or I really like the Wilson Combat frames. So I know that somebody out there is going to hate them because they have a stupid pattern or whatever, but they fill the hand so nicely.
They honestly, they do. I was not a fan of them right away, but the more I held yours, I'm like, you know what? This is all right. This is all right. And so I bought one. Now your wife owns it. And so I was like, I'll get a couple more because, green's my color, matches my eyes.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what it is. Yeah. So.
Yes. Well, did you do anything else fun with guns this week?
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. I took my P.C.E apart and put it in your sonic cleaner, and to quote a movie, some of those flies were there before I got in the tub, because that's how dirty that thing was. It could probably ran like 4 more times, like you said, but that was so yeah. I'm gonna buy a sonic cleaner here in the next month because that's fantastic.
Yeah, the look on your face when we pulled that bolt out, and you were like, "What?"
Well, that and the firing pin, dude. That firing pin was disgusting.
Yeah,
So
I know.
you do know. And so, yeah, that's definitely on the list of things that are going to happen. I've been kicking around the idea of a mare's leg. So there's one, it's about 2 hours away that I might go, do things with. Oh, yeah, I bought a DH3 the other day, too. Whoops. So,
Oops, he says.
oops. Yeah, I don't know. I was just going to go trade it because I had a gun at the gun shop there that I've been on consignment. I was like, hey, can we just trade it? And the guy's like, he talked me out of it. I couldn't believe it. So he said, well, you could just buy that gun. I'm like, well, I do have cash. He's like, enough to pay for it? I'm like, it's none of your damn business. But yeah.
So AR Drew asked, what's a good sonic cleaner? I have the knockoff version of the Hornady hot tub, and I absolutely love it.
It can fit an entire 16-inch upper in it, so it's worth it.
The Hornady hot tub, well, here they're running from, on eBay they have them from $745 to Shields has them for $954. So there's about a $200 swing there. But while we're talking about that, I'm going to look and see if I can find the one I bought off Amazon.
Yeah, dude, Amazon's where it's at. I mean, I don't like, I'd rather shop local. I like to support local business. Not at $200, increases though. So I try not to, but man, Amazon just has been killing it lately. So it's a bummer.
Yeah. Well, and when you get into some of these, they're like getting the size down that's big enough to do everything that I want it to do.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to drop a whole 16-inch upper in it is probably the nicest thing. Do you need that? No, not really. Like, I could get away with the smaller one if I was just going to do the small components. But when you have a friend who's like, hey, could we do this? And you go, oh, yeah, I guess we can. And you pull everything out, then, realize just how nasty the whole upper is. So you just take the optic off and drop the whole thing in.
Yes. I'm the friend. Yay.
Oh, you're not the only one. I found out the sonic cleaners are amazing, and this is not going to turn into a sonic cleaner talk, I promise. But I actually had a pistol that one of my 22s I used for training forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and, run this thing through and this will work. I'm going to, put everything through here and then we'll just move on from there. Just give it a good, nice cleaning. And when I did that, the only thing holding some of the pieces together were carbon.
Oh wow, that's yeah.
So like it went through and then like it came out in more pieces than it started when it went in. And I went, "Oh, this is probably the ungood."
That's the super ungood. So no, like yeah, I had my brother buy me one for Christmas like 10 years ago, and it's literally the size of my ball cap. That's all the bigger it was. It was just for small parts. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. You still got to take the gun apart to get it in there. So
Yeah,
I didn't get a lot of use.
I would like to get one of the larger ones. Like we never know. I might like I see they have some of these where I might do the Garth and I might talk and we might go, "Hey, this one will work. You buy this one and you can have mine and I will take the industrial one because it's cheaper."
I'm your Huckleberry. Say when.
I know. We'll get more about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just might not work, but we'll see.
Yeah. We'll play by ear. Oh,
Yep.
There's one other thing we should probably just talk about for a second because, well, it's kind of important. Today is 9/11.
It's Patriots Day. Yeah. 9/11.
So, and I had a few people call me today, and I was kind of upset by it. Well, the one guy, I mean, he's kind of spaced it off, but we always put a fire truck out, and he drove past it. He's like, "Hey, man, did someone die? What's going on?" I'm like, "What day is it?" Well, it's Wednesday. I'm like, "What's the date? The 11th of what? September?" And oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'm like, oh, man. So that whole never forget. Yeah, people are forgetting.
Yeah, and that's also why I kind of have this thing. I had thought about putting, oh hey, like do a never forget thing, but also I think if you need to be reminded what day it is, you kind of lost why.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree.
now with that, like this is going to be an incredibly dark segue because, well, that's what I am. Is kind of dark. At least I'm not making a joke yet. Yet.
Yes.
But no, so tonight's topic actually is, and anybody who's watching live or seen this or maybe has talked with us on Discord about it knows that tonight actually we had a plan and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about PACE plans tonight and PACE planning. So we're going to do a little bit of a departure from our normal like gun talk episode, but now is a good time to figure out some PACE plan stuff.
Well, you might want to. I mean, we all are only like what 2 months away from one of the biggest elections in our country's history, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen. So something like this might be a good idea just to have on the back burner.
Well, and I'm not even talking about it in the election sense. In the past 2 days, I know that just in talking to like people I know around town that all have like the same cell phone carrier, they haven't been able to call each other.
Yeah, that's a thing going on right now. It's even worse up here.
So PACE planning, for anyone who doesn't know, is a method of planning. And when we first talk about it, I'm going to talk about it in communications sense because that is how everyone kind of remembers it and thinks about it to begin with.
Mhm.
is with that. So pace planning is very, very important. And but okay, here we go. I'm gonna go through this. Dusky says pace plans can technically be for anything, right? Comms, firearms, defense, transportation, food, and more. 100%. That is correct. The concept of this can be applied to about everything. So we're gonna do a walkthrough on like a basic pace plan and talk about it under the auspices of communications to begin with. And with that, I'm going to pull up this. I have a graphic that we're going to show for everybody watching live, and so we can talk about this. So pace plan is primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. So when you apply this to communications, it's the best intended, and what your primary method of what you're going to do is. The second one is alternate, another common but less optimal. The third would be contingency, which may not be as convenient, but it can still accomplish it. And 4 is emergency, and that's the method of last resort. So, like, we'll get more into this as we go on, and we'll keep pushing with that. But, Garth, do you have anything to add on that before we really get into this?
No, dude. Let's just dive in, and I'll interject where I usually do or don't. I've got a lot of stuff rolling in my head about this whole thing, and I think we're taking it from different angles. So I'll just piggyback.
You're going like I had a whole thing about plants, and I'm gonna talk about that, but the concept is the main thing. And so as we go forward, look at this and make sure you think about, okay, we can put this forward. So the easiest one to go through and the one that most people think about is when you look at communications. So we'll talk about that first. And the easiest way to go through it is I'm going to give a scenario and I'll tell you like a little bit of my plan and how we look at things, right?
Yeah, I can do with that.
So, number one, cell phone, right? Everybody's got one. And that is like the most common and easiest way to do it. Now, for different people, you have different methods of communication on said cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have friends that if you send them a text or call them, they won't reply. But if you send them a Snapchat, they'll reply instantly.
Correct. Yes, certain people will not answer a call in a life. I use the term. I could be dead in a ditch somewhere, but you won't answer your phone. But if I text you, yeah, then we're okay. If I Snapchat you, then yeah, you seem to answer right away. And I just don't understand that about people. I was like, well, it's a cell phone. It's not meant for calling. It's a phone.
Well, it's be that as it is. You have your primary method of communication via your phone, and that might be first and foremost the aforementioned text message. But it's we're going to say this. We're going to say the cell phone in general.
Yeah.
So like either it's like, okay, yep, I'm going to give them a phone call and that'll be my primary method of contacting them because I can generally I know that I will have conversations over text and I'm like, nope, this is going to be way faster if I just make the phone call.
I've had those conversations with you. Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be way easier if I just call you because I have a lot to say about this. And in 30 seconds, I'll get it all out. But it'll take me 5 minutes of texting because apparently I type soliloquies.
Yeah, and I can't use voice to text because one of us is retarded. It's either my phone or me, but I'm not really sure. But the words never come out right.
Yeah. So, it's we're just gonna say cell phone. Number one, standard network.
Mm-hmm.
You have either phone call or text message. Now, after that, you have like an alternate messaging app.
Mm-hmm.
So the one that I tell people to go to or to use is Signal. So Signal is an encrypted communications app. It's free. It's a secure app. It's actually secure enough to send medical documents over. I know a lot of military units do most of their communications over Signal for their peacetime. They're doing stuff. It's yep, okay, I have Signal. I'm doing this. But one of the big things with this, I've seen it with cell networks go down, like cell towers. Yep, they've gone down. But if you're in your house and you still have Wi-Fi now, and trying to get hold of someone else who does have network, like if it's across the country or even just across town where they have Wi-Fi as well, then bam, it still pops up and hey, look at this. We can still text or even do a phone conversation over Signal. And all of that is going through the internet, not through the cell phone network.
The funny thing is, we kind of glanced over one option, but not a lot of homes have them anymore, and that's landline telephones.
Well, I was more doing on what most people have on them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said. Is it's we haven't got there, and everyone might be different. So it's like first cell phone, like yep, everybody's going to go through it, and yeah, the landline telephone is still an option. Most people don't have them anymore.
I don't, but my parents do. So I mean, it's the thing. I mean, I have the capability of doing it. I guess I'm not sure if I have a number even. I guess I should check that.
Yes. What's a landline, Garth?
It's a cell phone that's got a cord coming out of it.
It's like your cell phone plugged into the wall but instead of like it's just always plugged into it. And back in my day, they were rotary.
I have a rotary phone in the next room.
Yeah, I could get into that where I am now like of the age and understanding of something I did not understand. So when I was growing up, my grandpa kept a pencil by the phone, and I always thought it was for jotting notes down, but there was never a notepad there.
Nope.
No, it was because his fingers were too big to fit in the rotary hole dials, so he had to use a pencil to run the phone. And I picked up a rotary phone the other day and realized that I also would have to use a pencil or something.
Oh yeah, you would have no prayer.
Yeah. But as we keep going down this, so we got to primary, and then we did alternate, right? If we look at our, as we went through, so you have primary, that's your cell phone, that's going to be calling, and like your normal, hey, yep, we're going to call, standard texting. Alternate is going to be, that's what I'm saying, like that's where you use another messaging app. I recommend Signal. Like that's where I think it's at. It is secure, and I know somebody's going to be like, yeah, the government can still get into it. Yeah, I understand, but when I'm like, if the government really wants to know about my grocery list my wife and I are sending, those are,
yeah.
And
if the government is viewing my text messages between me and Nick, we have bigger problems than.
I mean, they are, but that's okay.
I mean, yes, they are, but they haven't done anything about it yet.
But no, it's so that's one of those. I'm not talking about those types of things, but so you have primary, you have alternate, and then you have contingency. Now, contingency gets into another thing to look at because it's all right. We have another way to look at here. So for this one, it's like, all right, well, internet's down because I have Starlink, or I don't, but it's like Garth has Starlink, and it's too cloudy for Starlink to work. So now we have to we go through, it's like, all right, what are we going to do now? Now, this is where your plan might start to differ because it's, all right, well, now we might move into, yep, this is where we're going to move into radio comms. And so where are we at? for us in our area, you know, we could talk about ham and all of those things, but we, like ham radio, yep, totally into it. I think more people need to get on, learn ham, get their licenses. But in the meantime, I truly do believe that GMRS is a good option. It's a $10 license, that you just purchase. You don't have to do any testing for it. You can add a lot of power, and you can have fairly long range communication with that, because of the power of the radio you can have.
Is it a line of sight though, or is it just
all radio is more or less line of sight, unless you're getting into ham and bouncing off like the ionosphere.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dusky just said $35. I am an old. And but so you do that, and then you'll start looking around, and you can find a GMRS radio that, when you get the license for GMRS, that covers your whole family.
Correct. So it's like the extended family plan.
Yeah, but you do that, and you can buy radios, and you can buy like what I call the grandma radios, which GMRS is, like you look at it, and you can buy some fairly powerful GMRS radios, and for cheap. Like I bought a set of GMRS radios for, I think it was $50 for some tri radios that are GMRS, and in running those, like I've turned them on and had conversations at 2 miles.
Yeah.
Like I know that you and I have our Baofangs, and it's all right. So Dusky says, yeah, you can go to 50 watts with the GMRS. So 50 watts is actually a ton of power if you get your antenna high enough. I have some 40-watt radios for GMRS, and I know another one of our friends does as well. Mm-hmm. And we have talked at like tens of miles apart with that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you said, this is where the plans differ, man. I have, like you said, the Baofangs and stuff like that. You and I have had conversations up to like 5 miles away with them and stuff. Since I'm a farmer, we have business band radios, and those have a good range of about 20 to 30 miles, depending on how strong your antenna is. And so, yeah, those things are fantastic. Side note, we were having a little trouble getting a hold of a guy today. Wasn't answering his cell phone because you said the service has been spotty, and it really has been. And I went, man, just think 20 years ago, we didn't have cell phones. It was all business band stuff. You need to get hold of someone, you got on the business band, you called out to the farm, you called around on tractors and stuff. I love the business bands. I mean, they're kind of like the party line landlines back in the day, where everyone can kind of hear you as long as they have your frequency, but it's a very nice option to have. So,
yep. And like some of those, like we're not going to get into the full, like the Baofeng show, but a lot of those, like a UV5R, you could actually tune into your business band freaks in a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so as you move forward with it, so it's okay. Yep, now we've moved on to, we have our contingency where we're moving to radios, and if we're moving on to emergency, like that gets down to even using the bubble pack radios, where it's like, hey, this is going to work. I have to be able to get a hold of my kid. Here is, this radio that I know will work with anywhere within a mile of my house,
yep.
even in town. And I can send her out the door with that. She can get a hold of me, and I can still talk to more people because she can talk to the radios I have with the GMRS. And, then it comes down to, after that, you're sending runners.
Yeah.
And, like we don't want to get to that point, but that's where, when you move into that, it's building your own network. One of the things that I would say, moving on from, like something else that I'm trying to set up in our area, is the Mesh-tastic network. Mm-hmm. So I have some mesh setups, and I just haven't had the time to deploy them properly. But getting those set up, because they cover a lot longer range, and that would probably be my contingency, and the radios be the emergency, because you'd still be using your cell phone. It's until you abandon that entirely and go to just, all right, yep, we're talking on the radio. Like that's where it would be at. So having the capability to do that is like, that's kind of my personal plan. Is primary is standard cell phone communication, so phone call, text, then move on to signal. Then I would move into the Mesh-tastic, and then after that I would move on to like radio, like GMRS and localized radio networks.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a breakdown of, okay, this is how the PACE plan works, and I think everybody listening could get a fairly good understanding of how it comes through and breaking that up. But the PACE plan theory and process can be applied to way more than that.
Oh yeah, no, there's a whole plethora of rabbit holes, trails you can go down.
It's the like 3-gun is an example of, yep, okay, we're gonna have a PACE plan here. My primary is gonna be my rifle. After that I'm gonna go shotgun, and the last option is all right, we're moving down to contingency. Now we're at pistol, and then the final option is I'm going to throw a knife at this target or a rock.
Yeah, got my wrist rocket in my back pocket.
And there have been times where I have almost been to that point. But that is an example of one of the other ones to think about is like, I know that we have talked a lot about like, hey, you should kind of be prepared, not just because of like, oh man, the end of the world's coming, but like right now there's a hurricane hitting Louisiana. And okay, yep, hurricanes cause the power to go out. Hurricanes cause a lot of bad things to happen. They cause flooding, etc. So you should have like water and food on hand in case of something like that. But one of the things where you look at a PACE plan for water, which is another way to just go, okay, well, let's do a PACE plan for water. You figure minimum 1 gallon of water per person per day for like basic needs and survival.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived off less, I've lived off more, and like that's the kind of the minimum for hygiene and water, like needing to drink it. So depending upon your environment, it might be, yeah, we're not going to do any hygiene. We just need to drink this gallon of water.
Yeah.
Because if it's 115 degrees out, you need to drink it way more than you need to smell good. But when you go through that, it's all right, well, my primary method of water is going to be the tap.
Mm-hmm.
What's my contingency?
Well, one of the things I have, and I think they're pretty awesome, they are called the water bob.
Yep. Well, it's to fill the bathtub.
Yep.
That's 100% correct. That's a easy thing to get, where it's like, hey, we're going to get a hurricane. I should maybe fill this thing up in the bathtub just in case, we have something happen and I have 50 gallons of water.
Yeah, I think some of them even go up to like 100 gallons. But yeah, even 50 gallons of water in a event where you're out of power for 3 days is a big thing. So,
oh, very much so. It can be a very, very big thing. And so, okay, yep, you have that. The other thing is you have your water bob, or you have a water bladder, and also those are cheap. They're like $35.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're 100 gallons. So I just looked them up on the Amazon. 100 gallons, and they come with a little siphon pump.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, so you go, all right, I have this, and the going through your PACE plan for water, it's all right, tap is your primary. Mm-hmm. Then you have, so I actually don't even think that the water bob would be the alternate. I think the alternate is you probably have a case or two of water in the house. Like I know I do. Like I have a water cooler. or
Hmm.
a water stand where it's like, okay, yep, we have this. This will get me by because it's enough water for me and my family for like a day,
Yeah.
right? So it's there, it's easy, it's convenient. It's not like, oh man, we're going to be out of water, and then it's okay. I have this, like we can conserve, and we still have this alternate method. And then the contingency is where we start going, all right, we need to fill up and like fill up our water bob bladder or go out to the rain collection barrel because we live in a free state that doesn't monitor or stop you from collecting rain.
Yeah. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, because there are states that outlaw you to collect your own rainwater off your roof.
There are, and those are commie states, so we don't. Yeah.
Yeah, and so having that is then you move on to like personal filtration. So like I am a huge fan of the Sawyer water filters. I think we have like for camping and stuff like that, we have one of the big Life Straw, uh, like 5 gallon hanging water bags where it's just a like a shower bag, like a solar shower, but it's a you go down to the river and fill it up with water, and now, hey, look at this, we've got 5 gallons of drinkable water that we can have without granted you probably still might want to boil it, but you have access to clean water. So that's the emergency sense is, all right, now I'm down to doing this and putting chlorine and iodine tabs and stuff like that.
So according to Google, so it's Google. What is the average? The water industry estimates that the average person uses 3,000 gallons of water monthly. So a family of four would use 12,000 gallons for bathing, cooking, washing, recreation, and watering.
Well, that's like households.
Yeah, and I understand, which you are a household.
Yep. And I was talking about just survival.
No, I understand that. So I'm saying out of that 3,000 gallons, and that's a month. So obviously you're going to limit yourself to,
Yeah.
portions. There we go. That's the word I was looking for.
Correct. And pushing through that, so that's you get into that, but another one that as we keep going through, I'm trying to just really drive home the PACE plan process to people, and somebody's gonna be like, yeah, man, we get it, but this is something that you probably do without even realizing it. Like you
Yeah, I think a lot of us
kind of set it up, and it's all right. Transportation. What's your primary method of transportation? Well, for Garth, it's his Jeep. He's like, okay, yep, I got my Jeep, and I'm used to driving this. Everything's okay, and off we go. And got to take the Jeep to the shop, so I have to move to my alternate, which is still convenient. It's just not the same thing I use every day. And then he sends a Snapchat out because he's driving his pickup, and apparently the batteries go dead in them from lights. And
who knew?
Weird, right?
Yeah.
And then so after that, it's okay. Yep, you have 2 vehicles. Then the third one might be all right. Well, everything's dead, so we're down to a 4-wheeler, and 4-wheeler's gonna suck, but it's definitely a contingency. It's not as convenient. But the last option is emergency, and that's the good old LPC, the leather personnel carrier, also known as your feet. You're just gonna go for a walk.
Cha. Because I know no bike frame's going to hold me.
Oh, sure they will.
Well, okay, I'm not going to spend $3,000 on that bike frame though, so no thanks. I'll huff it.
Well, I like walking.
I don't mind it. I don't like walking with you because you and I have different paces, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
it's like a squirrel going on an adventure.
Yes. So, the same thing. This is one of those, like, the concept of this is very important. And guys, think about the time it is, and it's still nice out in most of the country. Now is the time to start to be looking at building up some of these plans for you and your family, and kind of, hey, some of these conversations are weird to have, right? Because if your family's not into preparedness, or it's you're the crazy prepper guy or the crazy gun guy, whatever it is around. You need to like, hey, we should set up a PACE plan, and you say that, and you sound like a nut job because you're using military acronyms to people who don't know what they are.
Hmm. No,
And
I get it. You and I both are the crazy gun guys. Thankfully, we have a community of people who understand or at least tolerate what we're talking about.
yeah, that's I am more tolerated than anything.
Yeah.
I know that because Garth even does the okay, well, moving right along.
It's gotten better. There's certain things I'm like, I get it, man. I get it. It's cool, man.
Yeah, and but some of this is things where like if your family isn't into this or doesn't really think about it, it's hey, go through and you can kind of break down. And I find an easy way to start is that kind of the way we started out today with the communications PACE plan. And that, hey, if it's WhatsApp for your family or Facebook Messenger or whatever it is that, like Facebook Messenger has its own issues and that's been down before as well. But, whatever it is, if it's, the artist formerly known as Twitter, if that's how you and your family communicate, Instagram Reels, whatever, pick one and be like, hey, you might already do that where I can't get through to anything, but look at, hey, I have Wi-Fi. Maybe we should do another one of these and just visit on it every now and then and have this app in case cell phone towers go down because it's happening all the time. And it's having that conversation is, oh yeah, hey, that kind of makes sense. And it's an easy conversation, an easy way to start. And then you can move into, hey, so why don't we keep a couple extra cases of water on hand?
Yeah, no, it's pretty easy even to go down to any of your local gun shops, hardware shops, Cabela Shields. They all have those Mountain House or the Peak One meals and stuff. It's not too hard to just grab 3 or 4 of those, or 2 of them every time you're there. They're between $10 and $15. So I get it. It's a meal, but it's also a meal when you might need it. So.
Oh, and I eat those on a fairly regular basis.
I also do. I have a stash of about 20 on hand usually because honestly, it's easier than cooking sometimes. It's just simple. Boil some water, dump it in. 10 minutes later, you're eating something that's edible.
Yeah, that's moving on to Garth, brought up a food thing there because, obviously your primary one's going to be it depending upon where you live, it might be DoorDash.
It could be.
It might be leftover Chinese food in the refrigerator.
Dude, I'm so hungry. Stop this. I have not eaten supper yet. You are just killing me right now.
But when you go through that, it's okay. Yep, I have my primary. Like I have my normal food I'm going to cook. Then okay, hey, that's not going to work. So you're down to top ramen or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, whatever it is, because that's what's handy. Then move on to the contingency, and that's where you start doing the freeze dried meals and stuff like that. And finally, emergency. You're eating rabbits and squirrel. Well, I know that we have Dusky listening, and he's all about the squirrels. So
squirrel stew.
Yep.
Never had it. Heard it's good.
That's one of those where you're out there with the pellet gun trying to feed yourself, but having that extra bit on hand is very good. It's almost as good as a VZ grip, and VZ grips are great because they're made from solid block of G10, and G10 is great because it's durable and doesn't get slippery when it's covered with mud, blood, or sweat. The 17-degree grip angle and wide variety of textures from mild to extreme. Color options and shorty versions are also available. 1911 grips with extreme customizability, standard slim palm swells, thumb notches, safety cuts, bottom profiles, and more. More than 25 textures and 27 colors are available. And this coupon code is good for 15% off all handgun and rifle grips. And that code is AR-15 podcast.
Dude, Dr. Scary Guy, I love top ramen, so I'm there with you. Not healthy at all, but I love the taste of it. So,
and Andrew, I do not think you can eat the VZ grip, but it definitely is helpful to gather food.
No, it's super helpful.
You could even use one of their daggers.
Their daggers are super awesome.
Precisely. But no, and that's one of those where I understand. Hey, my daughter loves top ramen. Like it's a treat for her. And those things are fine. I've lived off ramen before, and that's fine. Like you do you, boo.
I actually have a cookbook of just ramen recipes that are supposed to like jazz them up. Never cracked it. I just have it in case the day comes where I need it. But if the day comes though I need that, I'm not going to have the other ingredients to jazz them up. So I don't know why I keep the book.
So YouTube Dark Winter Roleplay. That's what's your opinion on blackout rounds for AR-15s? If you're talking about the 300 blackout, it has a purpose. It is a multi-use thing, but I enjoy shooting it in a subsonic suppressed because that's how it was designed to be shot, and I've also used it as a hunting cartridge. So they're a solid option.
They're fun to shoot. I don't own one personally, but hey,
you did for a little while.
I owned a gun. I never owned any ammo for it. How about that?
That's fair. So John says LP generator is a great thing to have, or dual fuel that can use gasoline as a last resort. I always have grill tanks laying around, but a gas jug may be tougher to find. I agree, John. I have the same. I have a dual fuel generator as well, and so like I get it. The other thing, Garth, do you got anything to add on this? Because I know you're like, I thought we were going to go kind of a different direction.
No, it's cool, man. Actually, yeah. About a month ago, when we picked up when I went to Sioux City and picked up those Texas Stars for clays, I also bought a rocket stove, man. A rocket stove is a super handy thing to have for one, heat, and two, cooking. Again, I'm with John. I also keep a couple bottles of propane around for a grill because when things don't work, like electricity, well, a gas grill always will or should. And so, the rocket stoves, dude, is a great source of heat to, because, for us, it's hot out right now, but during the winter, it kind of gets a little chilly around here. I think last year we saw negative 58. So to have a source of heat that you could put into a window well and heat a basement with is a super solid thing to have.
Yeah, I agree. Though, so having that, like having some that gets into look at your situation and think about the primary alternate contingency and emergency. It's all boiling down to, hey, we have this, and that's just a good way to kind of sort out. It's not I need to dive all of my money and all of my thoughts and into doing this, but having options is always better than having none.
No, it is. It's just, and again, my situation is different than most people's because a lot of people go, well, okay, I have plan A, B, C, and D. And while they're doing those, they might be moving locations. I don't know what the situation we're going to be talking about is. So I'm just going for mass effect of something like the country's imploding because in 2 months the election is going to happen. That's just where my head's going to go. So in my scenario, I'm not bugging out. I'm staying put. And so my situation is very different. Communication, yeah, I still want to communicate with you and other people around. I want to keep my primary group of people safe. So, but yeah, travel is still the same. Food, water, how you're going to survive is all there. And that's when I hear PACE plan, that's what I think of. That's where my head goes because the prepper in me comes out.
Well, and PACE plan even comes down to like route planning and stuff like that.
Correct. And what routes to block so the commies can't get in.
Well, it's I know that we were at GunCon and had a conversation with some friends of ours down there, and I remember explaining to everyone, like, oh no, like, you guys don't understand. Most of the aircraft flying around are like pre-1986. It's like if you're looking at like a 1979 or 1969 Cessna 172, like, I don't know how to fly one of them. I'll get home.
Oh, I don't care if it's getting home on the back of a 4440. Here we go. We're gonna roll.
And I because there's a conversation about an EMP, and I said that, and everyone stopped and looked at me like, you'd fly a plane? I'm like, yeah, I would. Yeah, and like, I understand that might be your current route plan, but Google Maps is not always good.
No.
So Garth, do you have anything else to add tonight before we?
Well, since no one really needs to use their PACE plan yet, they should go check out Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co for all your patch accessory needs. They have cleaning mats, they have tin signs, they have a Patch of the Month club. Jake and those guys over at Patriot Patch have done a phenomenal job. They are our title sponsor of our 3-gun match, and I'm super excited to have those guys on board with us. So please go donate, buy, join the subscriptions, give your money to Jake and the guys at Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co. And the other thing I'd say is, guys, we live in a world of weird times. Now is the time to go get training. Go get some training, go get some medical training, take a gun class. Ammo is cheap-ish. I'm stealing all of Nick's lines right now. It's kind of fun to do. Now is the time to prepare, because in 2 months, I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but if it does,
2 months, ammo is going to be more expensive.
Oh, in 2 months, ammo is going to be insanely more expensive. So buy something.
Well, support the economy.
Support the economy, yank.
No, that is correct. Buy more ammo. Get training. We don't even have an affiliate program with these guys, but go to Medical Gear Outfitters and buy a Stop the Bleed kit.
Mm-hmm.
But go buy a tourniquet if you don't have one. Go buy a good cat tourniquet.
Yeah.
And have that on hand. Get medical training. Grab your gear and learn how to use it. As we go through this, I think we're getting close to our signing off for the evening. And if we're getting close to signing off, everyone knows what that means, because I'm about to say the things. And I'm going to go through and say, hey, remember, no one is coming to save you. You are your own first responder. Expect to self-rescue. And you folks out there, stay safe and stay armed. Support the people who support the show. Primary Arms, VZ Grips, 4Patriots.com, and Patriot Patch Company. Be sure to check us out on social media. AR-15 Podcast 2.0 on Instagram, AR-15 Podcast 2.0 on YouTube, AR-15 Podcast 2 on Twitter, AR-15 Podcast on Facebook, and wherever podcasts are found. If you just want to drop us a line, let us know how we're doing, or give us a show idea, make sure to send that email to AR-15podcast 2.0 @gmail.com.